to Working Dragon Mystic. I'm Drake. Today I'd like to do another review on the Penczak books, this time the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft. It's the third book in the series, and honestly it's the first one I ever purchased. When I grabbed it I didn't realize it was a series, and I was studying more on shamanism at the time. This is actually one of my two favorites. This one and the last one are hands down my favorites, and the two that I go to the most over and over. He does a really good job with this. Again, it's set up in a lesson plan style format. What he does cover in here is tremendously valuable to any practitioner, and especially if you're wanting to learn more about shamanism. He goes into different types of shamanism and different cultures and how shamans relate to their culture and their practice. He talks about the world tree from different cultural standpoints, from Native American to Norse. He does cover journey work, trance work, and meditation further in this book. This book can be a standalone, so he makes sure to cover everything. But he really gets into the use of journey work and trance work and shamanic journeys. And possibly one of the biggest benefits that this book brought to me early in my practice, and one reason I recommend it to so many, is he also gives an introduction to shadow work. This is dealing with that darker half of you a lot of people are afraid to work with, and it's a very healing experience. It brings a lot of great wisdom and understanding and self-healing to you. And the bulk of this book is one giant path working that deals with that. So if you do want to do shadow work, don't just try to flip to a section on it in here. You want to work through the whole thing, because shadow work is a very, very intense process. And what he's done is he's woven it throughout all the lessons here, so that bit by bit you're getting little pieces of that working done. He also goes into shamanic healing, soul retrieval. He talks a little bit about psychic surgery. And again, all these things are covered in lessons and applications with exercises to do at the end of each of them. He does go into spirit animals and power animals as well in this book. He covers them fairly well in some uses and perspectives on them. Definitely, if you're interested in those topics, though, I try and pick up another book to add to this one. One of my favorites, which I'll probably review on this channel, is Animal Speak. But he does approach them from a perspective that makes them a little easier to use, but sometimes I feel it's a little limited in approach. But I almost suspect he did that for a reason. I think if you're actually applying the techniques and venturing out and doing the journey work and walking the worlds, that you take what you get from this book and you'll find and learn from entities and these animals that there's a lot more to them than just what's covered in this book. And I suspect that's why he wrote it that way. And speaking of the other worlds, he does cover those really well also. He does cover the Fey realms. He covers the angelic realms. He talks a lot about the underworld and journey into the underworld. He discusses the middle world and the upper worlds. He talks about how the shamanic cosmologies really broke into three worlds primarily in its simplest format, which is middle, lower, upper. And he talks about how that applies not only to the realms, but to ourselves as well. So it's also about venturing inward to yourself, not just the other realms. One topic he does a good job of covering, even though it's in a simple format because he's trying to cram so much into the book, and shamanism is such a large topic, is dream work. He covers dream work in a way that it makes it very easy to approach it for a beginner. It's not something I use a lot in my practice, but he does do a really good job of covering it for someone who's getting started. And when I worked through this book, I did use it, and it really helped build the foundation for dream work for me to allow me to do it when I do need to do it. He covers greatly how to work with the spirits of nature, from plants, stone, um, anything, because shamans believe all things in nature and then the world itself has a spirit. Even the camera I'm recording this on, they would say, has a spirit. And he teaches you how to begin to reach out and work with these spirits and make allies of them. Again, massively powerful, because if you make an ally out of every spirit around your home and property, you essentially end up with an army of friends and allies that's constantly watching your back, helping you, telling you if you're about to make a mistake, advising you. And that's friends and allies that you can't replace. They're invaluable to you. And this is one of the great powers of the shamans. This is why they seem to always be alert and aware. There are a few concoctions in here. He goes over some stones and how a shaman would use the different stones. Even some elixirs. He covers different paths of the shaman, whether it be as a medicine man, as a priest, style figure, as a healer, or even as someone who works with spirits to help them pass on and help them find their place, or to get them to move out of a house and leave a family in peace. So a lot of paranormal practitioners tend to love shamans who work in those categories, because obviously they have a good connection with the spirits. He does cover herbs. Herbs are covered in here and how a shaman might use them. He talks about tools a shaman would use that are very specific to different shamanic practices, and how you would use them, how you would make them, what they were used for. And I mean, again, like any practice, this can be tweaked to your taste, so not every one of these is needed, but he does go over them and make sure you know what they're there for and why, and allows you to make that decision. When doing the path working, though, I would at least try to make 2 or 3 of these to use, if not all of them, because that's good experience for the person, and it helps you really get deep into that path working and truly gain an understanding of the wisdom that's being imparted there. Throughout this book, you will be encouraged to keep a journal, especially in dealing with your shadow work, and that is invaluable. Definitely do that. Don't skip that part, because it does kind of build up and come into a process that he refers to as distilling the shadow, which is, it's an exercise and a long-term working where piece by piece you're confronting those little aspects of you that you've identified in that work, and you face them, you deal with them in whatever way it may be, maybe making peace with it, maybe forgiving yourself or someone else, or it can even deal with a trauma in your life, something that happened, a car wreck, a fight you got in, anything that caused maybe perhaps a piece of your soul to break off. And that's, again, part of soul retrieval, is actually going out, finding that peace and bringing it back to make you whole. So this is a massive, massive undertaking in path working in this book. This book, I would say, probably took me longer to get through than both of the other 2 combined. And honestly, the next one in the series is even bigger. But it is an invaluable book, and it's, again, this is one of the reasons why I recommend this series to people, is because if you take these 4 books and you truly learn everything in them, you will have a solid foundation that beats out almost anyone, most people I know who are reading the beginner and 101 books. And these are the only 4 you really need. But they're just the foundation, and from there you have an understanding, and you can begin to develop your path, your process, and how you work. And for me, that's important. I'm not big on working within a limited tradition where you have to do things the same way as everybody else. I think everyone should seek to find their own method and path, and techniques and teachings that give you a broader view and allow you to find that personal path. I really believe in, and I think that they're wonderful works. And Penczak's done a wonderful job with this series in allowing all that information. Again, it does come at it from a very spiritual perspective. I know I am a bit more scientific in my approach of magic, but even the shaman one, I can't explain it, but it really spoke to me, even though, even on a scientific level of how he approached it. So, I mean, whether you view it from a spiritual standpoint or a scientific standpoint, this is a really great book. And, again, if you find that the section is a little overly spiritual, that's okay. That's the perspective it's being wrote from. Again, any book can be written from either perspective, and you can view it, and that gives you a point of view of that perspective, but you can still utilize it in your path if you are of a scientific path or mindset. Don't toss out a perfectly good book or literature and wisdom and teachings just because the author or person writing the book does approach it from a spiritual perspective. Both sides of the fence stand to learn a lot from each other. Don't ever forget that. Ever. We're all in this together. But yeah, this is a wonderful book. Definitely do pick it up. I'll be making sure there's a link below for this one and all the others. Again, just in case you don't want to wait for my next review. I know I'm not getting them out as fast as some people would like, but I'm doing my best. And check it out. I would love to go into more detail of this book, but again, it's just such a massive book. He covers so much. And the topics in here are, well, when you're talking about a shamanic topic, it gets really hard to give details on. But what we have talked about, that's the best you can do without making this video massively huge. And but we have got a few videos on this channel where we do discuss trance work and the likes, and meditation. So you can check those out to get an idea of some of the things and very basic idea of what this book will cover. But again, Christopher Penczak did an awesome job with this one. Definitely follow the link below, support the author. If you like the video, subscribe, give us a like, hit the bell icon so you can get any notifications anytime we have a new video. Also, check us out on Facebook, Working Dragon Mystic. Our group is growing little by little. It's a place where we can get together, we can talk, we can ask questions. I do take suggestions for videos that you would want to see on this channel. And keep your eyes out for our online magic school that will be launching very shortly. We're really excited about that project. In the meantime, I'm Drake, and this has been Working Dragon Mystic. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.